What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be discussing the box office for this weekend. And this was a very, very slow weekend. It's Labor Day weekend, and so historically, Labor Day weekend has been pretty weak and not very strong. So there's not a lot of big releases, but we do have a lot of news in terms of the already previous films that have come out, like Deadpool and Wolverine crossed $600 million today at the box office, and Disney is having an insane summer with $3.6 billion globally for Disney. And then, or that's a $3.6 billion summer. Sorry, $3.6 billion this summer. Disney has $1.5 billion domestically. That's domestically alone, by the way. That's not globally, that's domestically alone, 1.5 billion. And so, yeah, they're doing just incredible business this summer. And so, yeah, let's talk about the numbers this weekend. Top 10, obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine, only dropping 17%. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous for it just dropping 17%. Again, like we said, I mean, $599.5 million. It's going to get it easily by tomorrow, maybe even when the actual numbers come in, it's going to get it. So it's basically $600 million. And then Alien Romulus dropping 43% with $9.3 million. It's up to $88.7 million domestically. Again, it will get to $100 million probably next week, by next weekend. It will maybe do that by next weekend. It ends with us, 7.4 million, dropping 36%. It's up to $133 million. It's about to break into the top 10 biggest films domestically of the year. Probably going to do it by next weekend. A new one, Reagan, which is a Ronald Reagan biopic, and it ended up doing pretty well. I mean, it's not amazing, but it didn't flop like another movie that came out this weekend. We'll talk about that in a second. $7.4 million. So that one's it's doing all right. Twisters, look at Twisters, up 17%. That's rare. You rarely see that. You'll see that, I guess, with Labor Day weekend because it is a holiday and there's no new releases, so people are just going to see the ones that have already come out. So, I mean, hey, it's doing great. It's doing great. It's up to $258 million domestically. So yeah, plus 17%. Very rare to see that. Blink Twice coming in at number 6. 36% drop for that. So actually a pretty nice drop. It's up to 15.3 million. So yeah, that's a success. That's pretty good. The Forge, faith-based film, 4.6 million this weekend. It's up to $14.3 million domestically. So it's doing all right. It's not overperforming or anything, but it's also not underperforming, which is nice. Despicable Me 4, down 4% this weekend, so it barely dropped at all. It also added theaters, as you can see, 107 theaters. It's up to $354 million domestically, so it is doing very, very well. We'll talk about its worldwide in a second and how I feel about the worldwide numbers because it's very interesting. Number 9, Afraid. $3.7 million. That is a bomb. This thing just bombed. And based off the reviews for this film, they're not great at all. Like, they're really bad. So yeah, I mean, me and my dad are gonna go see it later today, and we're probably gonna have a review up for it tonight. But I'm not expecting much. I'm expecting to just kind of come out and just bash this film because it's probably not going to be good, so that'll be fun. So hang around for that one. Coming in at number 10, Inside Out 2 with $2.7 million, up 36% on its last weekend. That is really impressive, partly because it added over 1,000 theaters this weekend. It's up over $650 million, and so it's climbing to the top of the charts right now. It's 2 million away from catching Jurassic World domestically, and pretty close to catching it worldwide as well. We'll talk about that. So again, I'm just really impressive for these films that have done really well this weekend. All right, let's go and let's look at the worldwide numbers here. Pull it up. Okay, so as you can see, Inside Out 2 up to $1.666 billion. Deadpool and Wolverine. The international numbers have not come in yet, I don't think, for it, so we can't really look at those. But my guess is probably up to about 1.28, maybe 1.3, who knows, $1 billion. And then you got Despicable Me 4, and that movie is up to $913 million worldwide, which is really, really, really good for it. Again, I don't think it gets to $1 billion. I did see somewhere though. I was reading an article, and I did see somewhere that they said that they're expecting this film to do a 1 billion to 1.1 billion by the end of its run. I don't see how it can do that, but I mean, if they're right, that would be amazing. Get another $1 billion film. So yeah, that's about it. Let's look at the all-time worldwide. And as you can see right here, Inside Out 2 passing The Lion King, which is impressive, becoming the highest grossing animation film. And it is $3 million away from catching Jurassic World to become the number 8 biggest of all time. So again, it's just insane. It caught Lion King and became the highest grossing animated film of all time. That's just crazy impressive, ridiculous. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But one thing that I did want to bring up is this coming weekend we have Beetlejuice. And we talked about this on a previous video about how big I thought Beetlejuice was going to be able to do on its opening weekend. And I had ended up kind of in the range of like 105 to kind of 115 is kind of where I saw this film opening to. And we were talking about, the long range forecast. Each weekend they update the forecast and how the tracking for this film on how big it's going to open. And it was like a month ago, it was like 60 to 80 million. And then a week later, it was 70 to 100 million. And then last week, it was like 85 to 115. This weekend, they put out another thing, and I thought it wasn't going to move. I was just like, it's probably going to stay 85 to 115. It might even go down. I doubt. There's no way it goes up at all. And if it does go up, it's just going to be a little bit. $100 to 130. $100 to $130 million is what this thing's tracking to now. What? There's no way this thing opens to 130. There's no way. I can't see this thing opening that high. Because the biggest opening ever for September is the It movie, and it opened to 123 million back in 2017. That's the biggest there's ever been in September. There's no other film has ever even opened over 100 million in September. So Beetlejuice at this point is guaranteed to go over 100 million basically at this point. So it's going to at least be the second film ever to do that in September. But based on this projection, it's got a shot to beat It and become the biggest opening weekend in September ever, which would just be absolutely insane. So we'll kind of see where that goes from here. And we'll see Deadline and a bunch of other, the big journalists are going to be probably predicting it here within the next couple days. So we'll see what their projections are for this and see how closely they relate to Box Office Pro's projections. But if Box Office Pro's projections are any indication, this thing's going to be opening big, real big